Give me 1 second, family. Give me 1 second, family. I gotta get some things set up. Let me get one more platform set up. Hold on, let me get my camera set up right. So hold on. 1 second. All right, peace, peace, peace. I think that my daughter on there, Madison Goodman. Peace, Maddie. I think that's my daughter. Peace and love. But let me get this other platform set up for my people. Which one is that? Let me see. Okay. Sorry about that. Let me double check. Okay. All right, so let me set this other platform up. We're going to get started. Peace, love, and light to everyone. Peace, love, and light to everyone. So let me get this set up where we're going to get right to it, family. Oh, I already got that set up on that one. Okay, okay. So this is that one. Okay. Okay. Okay, okay. Okay. Let me get that set up. Ah, there we go. Boom. All right, 1 second. I be having to get all type of stuff set up, man, for myself. So I hope everybody take your time. We're gonna have a good one. 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 We're gonna talk about some things. We're gonna remove the veil of dogma and spookism. And we're gonna talk about a little, I like to use the topic of this specific topic is the heart, tantra, or the heart of tantra, sex. Nothing scary, nothing spooky, but I always like to illuminate my adults so we can have these discussions. So give me 1 more second. I gotta do one more thing. How's everybody doing, man? Peace and love to everybody. Peace and love, peace and love. How everybody doing today? How's everybody doing today on this beautiful day? Let me see. Okay, we just get started. I got a couple more seconds. And then we're going to jump into it. Okay, okay. Peace, peace. Okay. So, yeah, we're going to talk about something today, man. For all my brothers and sisters. Let me turn my settings up on my phone too. 1 second. Because I'll be doing all type of moving and I'll be dropping my phones. I'll be using my phone for all type of crazy stuff. And somebody was like, it's dark, Sheik, we can't see you. Okay. So maybe this will work. Maybe that will work. Bam, I think that's better. I think my lighting is set. All right, good. But how are all my empresses doing today? How are all my empresses doing today? I'm speaking of all my empresses. Do y'all remember the movie Nick Cannon? I think he produced it. It was called Chirac. It's a movie called Chirac. And a lot of people that's not in the spirit, they was like, oh, it's not a good movie because they didn't see the science of what Chirac was all about. Do anybody know the science of what Chirac was all about? Can anybody that watched it or may have watched it, did you see the symbology in that movie Chirac and what it was all about? Anyone? I'm always like to set precedent and use things for speaking. Do anybody? If anybody saw Chirac, and if you did, do you remember the inner meaning to that movie, Chirac? Do anyone? Do anyone? If you do, say yeah. If you don't, say, ah, man, I ain't seen the movie. What was it about? And then we can talk about it. Because it fits with the topic at hand. It fits with the topic at hand. I'm just waiting for somebody to hit me back. I want to make sure they know how to get on this system real fast. But once again, did anybody see the movie Chirac with Nick Cannon? And I think Wesley Snipes was in that, if I'm not mistaken. Wesley Snipes was an old gangster. Do anyone know the esoteric science in that, or the metaphysical teachings in that movie? Because there was a message in that movie. If my brothers have eyes to see and ears to hear, if my empresses are operating in their higher self, do you know the essence of what Chirac was all about? Especially my ladies. Especially my ladies. Do y'all know? Anyone? Yes, no, maybe? Somebody talk to your boy. Do anybody, have anybody saw the movie Chirac with Nick Cannon? And do anybody know that metaphysical meaning, or that, how can I say, the message that was being relayed to brothers and sisters? Instead of saying, oh, that movie was whack, I ain't get it. And I say, how you didn't get that? And that's a divine message in that movie. Especially my brothers and sisters that say they goddesses and this and that and the other, and they deal with the ethers, and they deal with this and that and the other. Well, how you didn't see that same thing that you say you read in the movie? You should have been able to, because readers reread everything. Readers and Sufis and real teachers reread everything. And everything have dual meanings. And so I ask people, what was the dual meaning in Chirac? And have anybody seen Chirac? Yes or no? Okay, yeah, bro, I see you. Well, in the movie Chirac, I got two things going on. I'm almost done, y'all. But in the movie Chirac, y'all, really, it was showing that them old school brothers, that mamas and daddies and cousins and nieces, they all know each other. They all went to the same schools. And then these brothers would go to some gang banging over some color. But all these individuals have women. All these people say they love them. And the women was like, hey, we got to shut this stuff down. And we're going to stop opening up our legs to these goofballs. You know, until it be some unity. Why? Because we killing each other. We doing a Klan job. What? It was always death of the black Messiah. It was always death of the black Messiah. It was always making us go against each other. So when you see these movies and you don't like, and this subliminal message in the movie, because you caught up in the hip hop stuff, you caught up in your feelings and not understanding, you don't see the bottom message of the film. And Chirac was a clear example. Chirac, what? Chicago. You see what happened in Chicago. You see all these young brothers killed each other, and then you see that same thing played out in a movie. And then the women like, no, we got to come together. We stop dealing with y'all, because y'all are killing each other. Here it is, the babies know each other, and the daddy's at war. The daddy's going to pick the kids up from the same schools. They live in the same communities. Mamas know mamas, grandma know grandmamas, all this stuff. So that was the inner meaning of Chirac. When I said, ladies, close your legs. What?
You gonna eat?
In a minute. Close your legs, right? And stop giving goofies the time of day, right? Right? Right, ladies? Right, goddesses? Close your legs. Because if you're a goddess, you have no time entertaining peasants. And then our empresses, we must hold the men accountable for these type of actions. Because how can we say others supposed to respect us and we don't even love each other? And we don't even love each other, you know? And so this concept of when I talk about sex per se, I'm not just talking about having sex, but I'm also illuminating it, illuminating the nature, illuminating the encouragement of these things, having real conversations. But you must be in the realm to understand, you know? And I don't want to get too far in all of it. I'm gonna get into like some notes. I'm gonna read a little bit. I'm gonna ask some questions. You know, when I talk about tantra magic, and everybody may have heard Bobby Hemmett, and Bobby Hemmett referenced a lot of books in his library, which I share freely, and I tell people, nothing's new under the sun. If you a guy, a Sufi, a sage, an educator, a sheik, a shaman, a noble, this is your craft. It's nothing new under the sun. It's nothing new under the sun. I promise you this. So when you research intensively and when you experience the tantra, that's the relaxing into the sexual energies rather than putting pressure on it. And so a lot of the stuff be tantra magic, be this and that and the other, different crafts. People may try to put them in a bottle as religious activities, but they don't give you the esoteric meaning of it, you know, because none of these things, it should be frowned upon. That sexual energy, that shouldn't be frowned upon when you are a god or a goddess, you know? It's a relaxing state. You don't put pressure on it, you know? And that's what you look for, the keys. And that opened a doorway in this context, you know? And it's discovering what true love is and what true sexual energy is. When I talk about pheromones, when I talk about sexual pheromones, research what your pheromones are, you know? Sexual rapport or sexual connection creates possibilities for intimacy, honesty, and a bond, a loving union, not just sex per se. We're going to talk about it. But conversely, where there is dissatisfaction in sex per se, the seeds of discontent are sown, resentment, frustration, and fears easily arise. And slowly the love and rapport between partners can break down, ultimately leading to what? Separation, you know? I always ask people, love is an action word. And our collective lack of knowledge is so acute that it seems like a normal state of affairs, you know? For young people to be struggling in ignorance when they try to harness these things improperly, these certain energies, which is the natural force of life, you know? And we pay so dearly for unfortunate sexual experiences or uneducated guesses early in our lives. And then sometimes we carry them as swirling, dim, unresolved memories that affect us as adults. So when we speak of sex, love, and intimacy, it can become a nightmare ruled by insecurity and a lack of trust. But when we talk about this tantra is an ancient art and an antidote. It's a re-education in this sexual energy and this understanding. and an education that our parents, our grandparents, and our great grandparents never knew. I always tell people, you can't be mad at your parents. Your parents got you where you are. Now it's time for those ones that's touched by the Creator, that's their life mission, to get us to the next level. Because it's another level we got to get to. I always tell people, ownership. I don't care about trinkets. All your trinkets can be gone. I care about ownership. So when I ask brothers, do we own land? Nobody owns land. Trinkets gonna go away. The man that owns land, we can grow our own food. When the trumpet be sound, we can go on our own land. We can pack all our stuff up and dip out. Think about what I'm saying. The average person can't do that. Think about it, because we're caught in the matrix. We're acquiring things that has no value. With all due respect, let's proceed. Over time, experimenting with the Tantra, it's shown me a new style of this love making in life per se, that has not only my sexual life far more fulfilling, but also my experience of love. And thus life itself has become more significant for me. Because before I understood this, I was in a dark place when my brother left the earth. Hell, I thought I was the Grand Reaper. That's why when I tell people I've been in the depths, I've seen it, I've seen death so much, I should have post-traumatic stress syndrome, you know? But the Creator have shown me other ways to attack. These are gifts, and be able to talk about it and be able to stand strong and bring my own table and chair to the same meeting and talk about it with honesty. I felt I was swimming in, how can I say, shallow waters. A lot of people can be unsure of their life at this stage, no matter how old you are. You know? But you embrace the tantric teachings, and you can penetrate the deeper waters of this sexual energy and the heightened love that aroused through it. Think about what I'm saying. Tantra reminds us that true relaxation starts with sex. Stay with me. Unfortunately, in our society, we've forgotten the art of relaxation in most areas of our lives. And sex, in particular, has become a source of anxiety and stress for many of us. And then we get into the condition with countless fears and tensions around this specific topic of sex. But once we begin to relax during the sexual act per se, stay in the spirit, we will find that many of our anxieties and unhappiness naturally subside if we can relax into this sexual energy. I always tell y'all, all these writers from Aleister Crowley, from Pascal Beverly Randolph, they just took our science and reversed it, just like they took the pentagram and turned it sideways. Get away from it. I keep telling my brothers and sisters, the reason why we lack in a piece of understanding and righteousness and synchronicity with these positive vibrations that man and woman should have, because it was frowned upon and they took it and bottled it up and they use it for themselves. I always tell people, you have to let the vampire in. Anything, a vampire can do nothing to you if you don't open the door. Understand what I'm saying? And the inner comfort that is produced will radiate out of giving the rest of our lives that same quality of what? Relaxation and loving ease. Remember, I say everything you do, you should do it with love. Why? Because love is an action word. If love is not in that environment or in the essence of that environment, you have no business doing it. Think about what I'm saying. I'm not just talking about physical sex. In exploring sex, we become more intimate with our own body and sexuality, and that our partner will understand more. And with this comes an acceptance of the simple truth, with nothing hidden, that naked is sacred, not secret, but sacred. And out of this arise a confidence based on self-understanding. Through the experience of Tantra, that's why I tell empresses and everybody on here, I say, I love love. Like, the problem is we don't have any love. And a lot of the young men and even older men, they don't have any love. Why? Because if you profess something and what you're professing is right in your face, And when I say when man honors man, we honor God, we honor Allah. And when we can't do that, then we can't see ourselves as that. We it's that simple, you know? You know? So I'm gonna get to a little topic and I'll talk about like inspiration per se. But the male body and the female body, they're similar. Remember, I always talk about the Baphomet when it's written Kabbalistically. And in this context, we're talking about the male and the female. You know, they are similar, but still different in many ways. And the difference is always complementary. Remember, they're always going to complement themselves. And whatsoever is positive in the male body will be what? Negative in the female body. And whatever is positive in the female body will be what? Negative in the male body. That's why when they meet in the deep organism, in that so-called atmosphere, they become what? One organism, right? Right? And the positive meets what? The negative per se. And the negative meets what? The positive per se. And then both become what? One. One circle of what? Electricity. Therefore, it attraction for sex, so much appeal. And this appeal is not because man is a sinner or immoral. It's not because the modern world has become too, how can I say, provocative, you know, how can I say, or sexual, etc. It's not because of obscene films and literature. It's very deep rooted. It's very cosmic when it's done with love. When people be talking about polygamy and all that and having multiple women, I said, for one, what you see on social media is not polygamy. Because you don't see any kids. You don't you don't see any kids. You don't see anything. It's almost like hip hop. It's almost like that person on social media that's locked up right now. And that's what it looked like. That's not polygamy. That's not love. You know, it's way more than that. You know, but let's make a long story short. But the attraction is because both male and female are have what? Circuits. We both have circuits in this context. And there is an inherent tendency in existence to transcend whatsoever is incomplete and to become complete. This is one of the ultimate laws that it's a law that the tendency towards completion. We must understand that nature abhors this incompleteness and any type of incompleteness. The male is incomplete in this context. The female is incomplete in this context. And we, can have only one moment of completion. And when our electrical circuits become one, when the two are dissolved, that is why the two most important words in all languages are love and prayer. And in love, you become one with a single individual. And in prayer, you become one with the whole cosmos. And love and prayer are similar as fair as their inner workings are concerned. We can agree on these things. I'm not going to be too long, you know, because everyone is interested in sex. Why shouldn't you be? It is the subject that continues to be of undying fascination, if not obsession for some, and throughout the world. And you can tell immediately when sex is the focus of a conversation. You can always tell. Our empresses can tell that too. I tell every empress and every man, I say, when a woman meets a man, if his pheromones off the chain, if he say who he is, he don't have to do any work. And you can ask any goddess on here, am I right about what I'm saying? When you operate in your essence, you ain't got to say it because they'll say it. And that's natural. They'll say it. My empress know it. They'll say it. When you in the essence and you who you are, why wouldn't multiple women want to be with you? Why wouldn't they want to be? Tell me why. It ain't no reason. Because in our culture, it was frowned upon. I mean, not in our culture, but in this Americanized culture, it was frowned upon. But not in our culture, in different tribal histories and culture, it wasn't frowned upon. And I'm just being straight up honest with brothers and sisters. Because men just didn't met, ooh, I like him, I met him in the club. That ain't how none of this worked. It wasn't just like, oh, he looked nice, oh, he got muscles, all that. So it was more than that. It was yes, you had to be fair to the eye and look good to the eye, but it was also it had to be something special about that individual that those women want to lay down with and have children with and be open all the way up. That's what I'm talking about. And be able to build what? And be able to donate to the household. For you can establish some real things. This is what I'm talking about. And there's women that's okay with that. There's women that's okay with that. But the fact remains that whether sex is being discussed or ignored, repressed or expressed, enjoyed or endured, it is the single most significant aspect of our lives. That's why I don't be afraid to talk about these things, because sex is always in the mind. It forms a central theme in our thoughts and daydreams. It's a part of our chemistry. Each sentient, each creature on this planet was created in sex from the union of a male and a woman, those cells. Our recognition of this begins early in our childhood, when we fondle, with ourselves per se. This is what discovery is. This is what I tell people when I speak, when I'm able to teach in manifestation. I said, you have to talk about this as an adult. Why? To understand what's going on with you. These are the understandings when I say, wait a minute, you should understand these things. You should understand these energies and the life force. You should have a clear understanding of this type of balance. If not, then you're not going to be able to have, how can I say, a good judgment. You're not going to be able to have a good sexual judgment eye, who you, do those activities with. You're going to be feeling wore out after those things. You're going to feel like energy was zapped from you. All these things, because it's a transfer of energy. So if you transfer energy with an individual or any a male or female, I hope you will want a proper type of energy. Come on. Come on. I'm talking about love. I ain't just talking about, oh, just want to do this. I'm talking about where, come on, brothers and sisters. I'm talking about sex and intelligence. Because we must bring intelligence into our view of these aspects. What? Sex. So we have to be intelligent. We have to look at other perspectives. We have to look at what are we doing? Or is it just for reproduction or immediate physical pleasure and gratification? These are things we should know when we're doing these specific acts. There's nothing wrong with gratification and all these things, but when we're talking about a transfer of energy, energy is being transferred. This is what I tell brothers and sisters when you operate on a level. I said, brother, sister, energy is being transferred. Energy is being transferred. I'm telling you, man. And I tell people, you got to look beyond that immediate gratification. It'll give you a new respect for what's going on. It will give you fresh insight into your sexual energy. I promise you. Because the first thing I tell brothers, if your eye is not operating in a certain way when you see a divine feminine, that's a character flaw. I promise you. If you don't see an empress, and the first thing you don't see is love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and something that need to be nurtured, and something that need to be held dearly, I think something is wrong with you. If you don't, when you see an empress and you don't see love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice in her eye, and you don't see everything that she went through, is no truth and there's no light in you. If you're not coming to her world to assist her and to raise her up to what she need to be, you shouldn't mess with that. And you don't even have to lie to her. You can keep it 100. Why? Because we're talking about something that's more than just physical sex. That's why when I talk about a brotherhood and a sisterhood, when I be telling my empresses, it's no reason for you to be a widow. I say, there's no reason for you to be a widow. I say, I'm into everything you into, and I'm into it all the way. So I operate in the divine at all times. Every empress on here, I can read you like a book. With respect, everyone. Why? Because I see it in your eyes. I can tell you everything in your eyes, and I can touch a ribbon of your hand, and I know everything. Why? Because it ain't too far off. When I see distress, it's certain distress on women and men that's the same. So I know that look. Come on, man. The only way I know that look is because I have to been through that before. The fire. What? All the fire. I done been through all the fire. I done been through the lion's den. That's why I ain't afraid to talk about it. That's why I recognize it at all times. And that's why I be telling my empresses to come on home. At least whatever you do, you can be protected. At least when you're doing something you ain't on your own, and people looking at you trying to premeditate on you and see if you standing alone. Yeah, they see you on social media. They think you by yourself. They don't think you got big brothers. They don't think you got no muftis that'll fly right on in and be like, hold on. like, hold on. You know? Like, come on. Like the kids don't have no one to look up to, to mentor to when things they need, someone to talk to. In a form of intelligence. How it will respond to you. And then how you utilize this sexual energy to create love between men and women. I tell everyone, you can ask my muftis. I say, I love love. I tell all my muftis that come around, I be telling empresses on here, I say, man, I got brothers that's men, that's looking for empresses. And I be seeing empresses on here getting hustled by charlatans. And I be like, man, I got nobles around me that do their thing, that fly all over. Will come to you anytime. You talk about you stay in a different state, what that mean? We fly all over the state. I mean, come on now. We do things as a group, as a family. This year we didn't have our Morris Ball as we do. We had it 4 years in a row. This year was supposed to be our 5th year, but some things happened, so we didn't get to do it this year. But we're gonna do it coming up in January, like we usually do around the Prophet birthday. It's gonna be amazing. Everybody's gonna be welcome to come. For everybody can come meet and greet. I know where everybody can stay at this dope resort, not too far from where I stay, by the mountains. We go horseback riding, we go to the museum, we eat good, we go places like, and we fellowship. People get to see what we, the blueprint, what we got going on. We can really touch each other. I'm telling you. But let's get back to what I'm talking about. This type of understanding is what I try to tell people. And it's a misunderstanding and an aching loss to humanity that we don't understand this sexual energy, Like somebody was like, you just talk, are you talking about, one empress was like, I'm just lost when you be talking, because she like, it resonates so much. And when she was saying lost, she wasn't saying she was lost from what I was saying. When she's saying she was lost, because like, yes, it's true. When I say we choose these things. When I say a woman know what she want to do when the first time she meet God. Yeah. And this is what I be telling people. So we can't limit ourselves. We can't limit ourselves, and it's tantra, the cosmic balancing of male and female energies, the yin and the yang, the positive and the negative, the dynamic and the receptive. We can introduce love and spirit in our lives, within and without. I always tell nobles, I don't want to be a place where it's all men. I get nervous. We must have women around us. That's why I say, give me 100 women, we'll change this whole world, this whole movement. Give me 100 women, we'll change this whole movement. I'm telling you, the whole movement will change. That's what I tell my brothers. I say, oh, man, this ain't no men club with me. I need the women. I need the women in my regimen. I need the young. I need the youth. I need the people. We'll get the right men. We'll get the right men. You know. But in human beings, sexual energy is understood to run in a circular path along internal channels through our bodies with two distinct phases. The first phase, an initial uh, uh, impetus of sexual energy, begins in the brain before circling down to, the private extremity. You know, the hypothalamic pituitary region and the pineal gland in the brain is secrete hormones that control the endocrine system in your body. And these include the so-called sexual glands. And these hormones maintain sexual well-being and promote the eventual readiness for this type of action. Remember, first and descending half of the circle from the brain to the lower extremity is known as the biological or the reproductive phase of sexual energy. And it's here that we invariably release the sexual energy created in sex through organisms or, that other form called, you know, release. So when I talk about things like spirit molecule, when people are like, what you mean, she DMT, where a lot of people that's not in the higher self, they have to take hallucinated drugs to get in that higher self. And I say, when you into all this stuff, you can activate it willingly. You see what I'm saying? So I don't want to get too specific with it. I just want to touch on some generalities. When I talk about spiritual or generative phases of sex per se, you know, and the spiritual phase of sexual energy. The spiritual phase of these things. When I always ask brothers, do you know how to get inside an empress without getting inside of her? A noble was like, man, I probably have no idea. He was like, I'll probably be just talking. I said, well, that I didn't ask you that. I said, do you know how to get inside the empress without getting inside of her? And that's just being kind to the heart. That's just being kind to the spirit. I promise you. It's being kind to the spirit. You know? You just want to be kind to the spirit. And so when I tell brothers and sisters about when I reference books and things and when I reference other material as a reference for you can, get some, how can I say, a small tittle of understanding where I'm coming from. You can compare, contrast, or you can want to research it more, or you may not want to. But also, it should be some things that you can see in real life. It should be some things that's especial from that particular vessel that's delivering a message. Because also, I see a sermon, I want to hear a sermon as well. If I say, hey man, I know how to get you in shape, and this, and that, and the other, and I'm not in shape, then I think you just talking. If a person say, hey man, I can show you how to get rich, and you're not rich. If you wrote a book talking about these the 5 ways to sit at home on your rusty dusty and get rich, and you ain't never had a business in your life to get rich off of, this is these are the things what I talk about. what I try to explain to my brothers and sisters. None of this stuff is fake. None of this stuff is fake. And that's what I be trying to tell brothers and sisters. Like, your sexual energy must be just as, well, it's the same thing as your divine spirit within. It's only two spirits, positive and negative. I just talked about it. In this context, we talk about the male and female, but in this context, I'm talking about what's right and what's not. It's only this type of positive sexual energy or the lower part of sexual energy. Think about what I'm saying. For instance, if an individual see a woman and she's looking good, and the first thing come out your brain is derogatory things, and then another brother may see her and say, "Well, hey, I look at her as a beautiful, maybe this and that and the other. What she doing and she's confident, how she dressed. I wouldn't suggest you always show that, but if that's what you're doing, and you respect yourself, I'm not going to be too judgmental. But at the same time, if you into your higher self, it's some things that we don't do, but at the same time, it's going to be a level of respect. Why? Because I know where I've been, and I can only share light. I only can spread love, especially to my empresses. I only can show them ways to straighten up the crown. I always show them that the door is always open. No matter what level that you are right now, what my door for love is always open. The crown can always be straightened because that's who you are by birth. Now we're talking about certain things that's conditioned, certain things that we may have picked up along the way. But when you have an example, when you see certain things, when young women and young men see people operate in the right manifestation and really doing things, and single moms, that brothers that really love them and that represent them and really, really taking care of them, you'd be like, oh, snap. This is a community because that's what it should be. When I talk about sexual energy, when I tell people, I say, listen now, you have to let me explain the type of person that I am. When I talk about pheromones, it's not just having no sex. I talk about that, my sexual attraction that we all should have, no matter if it's male or female, to where when men come around me, either you all the way in or you can't be around me. That's what I'm saying. That type of sexual energy where you should want to, what is willing. It shouldn't be no extra work. Why? Because this is what you want. If not, what you around it for? And so when I talk about the lower part of sexual energy, I call them animal suckers. And I tell people be aware of that. Because it's still some that attracted that to you. And that's a form of sexual energy. No matter if nobody want to say it or not, it's a form of sexual energy. Why? Because it's a form of attraction. Why do you think a regular person follow celebrities? Why do you think everybody love their favorite athlete? You telling me that ain't no a form of sexual energy being displayed with an athlete? Yeah. And then you like them, we like them so much, we'll buy their jersey. And so here it is, another man wearing another jersey with with another man jersey with his name on the back of it. Look at the hypocrisy of that, empresses. We cheering on our best football player. Yeah, that's a form of love. You see? And so when I talk about this love, I can exhume that same type of energy and love and passion with my empresses and do something with my brothers and sisters. This is what I'm talking about. When I talk about sexual energy, I try to get people to the door. If I get you to the door, you should be able to get yourself the rest of the way. If I was dealing with people that couldn't read, right, and some people that could read, I have to explain to them because they can hear me, but I wouldn't want to just be reading. I want to be giving them life examples. I want to be able to give a little bit of this and then say, okay, now take these keys and learn. And if you want to go further, then here go the manual. And then yourself as a student, myself as a student, and a teacher, X, Y, and Z, because I'm always a student, regardless. Then you can learn together. And we can be, how can I say, there to bring each other up. Even if I've been around the corner already, I'm coming back around again. That's what a teacher does. You see? That's why I always offer the information. Because I tell people, I said, I know we want to introduce to this. That's why I'm bringing it back. But it's all familiar because I can use the Bible and show you all this stuff. I can show you the Bible. Everything that I talk about, I can show you in the Bible. Literally everything. So that's the whole object of what I wanted to tell y'all, man. So we got to start coming to some type of understanding, some type of synchronicity, especially those that's teaching things and especially dealing with our empresses. You know, you got to be protective of your energy. Empresses, when you doing this work, I tell y'all, I can give you manuscripts and I can give you prayers to do because the work you're doing, you have to reverse the work. The work must be done for yourself as well. And when I be telling my empresses, you don't understand that you Sufis as well, that you're Tasawwuf as well, because you're dealing with the inner. If you're reading tarot cards and your voice is being spread, no matter if it's vocal or exhumed from your energy, you need these things for yourself. You need that covering because you can be pulled a certain way because you're going to different realms. You're going to different realms. If you're doing what you're doing, you are going to different realms. It's just like you on ecstasy per se, or you on a hustle, a drug, or trying to activate that DMT, but don't understand it's certain tools and there's certain master guides when you trip that can correct you. Understand what I'm saying, man. What's the use of a doctor if you're not sick? I be trying to tell my empresses, I said, listen clearly. It's energy suckers out here. If you talk about vibrations and waves and all this stuff happen on social media, don't understand that vibrations and waves, you have lost your rockers. You have lost your marbles. I tell people about their energy and giving too much time and know how to do the work and know how to read certain situations. I try to tell my empress, I say, listen, I can show you some things that you can add in your talisman bag. I can give you some little things that you can put in your talisman bag when you do your voodoo or your hoodoo or whatever you call it, or your Aligo or your Santeria or your Orisha, whatever African spirits that you're dealing with. And they can stack all the way up. We talking about tools in the toolbox. Just like when I tell people, I said, and just like everybody said they love Bobby Hemmett, and I always tell people, this is that day of the Aquarius. All this stuff is general information. That's why I say the power is within. It must be exhumed. And on a big playing field, it's when it's operating on all levels with the people. And so when I speak of all these inner or African spirits or the Tarot or the Aligo or the Santeria or the Orishas or any of the African spirits or any of those God essences or whatever you want to portray, you going into different realms, especially when I talk about the jinn. I always speak of these things and I tell people, I say, listen, I've been around the block. A lot of stuff I don't show because I know it's fake. What you mean, Sheik? A lot of the tarot card stuff is fake. With all due respect to everyone that deal with the tarot, it's fake. What you mean, Sheik? You are the tarot. The cards are just cards. You are the tarot. The cards are just cards. With all due respect. And I don't mean to disrespect no one on here, because before the tarot cards, what do you think we had? Because we had something. So before the tarot card, what do you think we had? What you think I got in my talisman bag? When I say I can touch a remnant of what? Any individual. I can show you that a person that's not righteous can't be around me that much long. They're gonna either humbly bow out or everything gonna be exposed. So when I tell people you the energy, you activate the cards. It's just like taking the battery out of a car, right? I don't care if you get all everything souped up. You get a new carburetor, all this, you got rims, you got all that. Boom, boom, boom. Yep, you take the battery out, that car ain't going nowhere. That car ain't going nowhere. That car ain't going nowhere, brothers and sisters. Think of what I'm saying. So, I always tell people that's in the spirit, watch this. When you in the spirit, because I always talk about finances and things and community, watch this. Everybody got to understand we live in a world to where everything costs. And if I had housing, then of course everybody be able to live. We'll be doing our thing. But we gonna get there. But make a long story short, if that's the thing, why aren't you doing your money mantras? What you mean, Sheik? You praying to things you pray for God to do this and that and the other. But when I tell my people and brothers and sisters, listen to me and listen clearly. Listen to me and listen clearly. What you do, you're supposed to love. And we're not attached to struggle. Our cup runs over. So the first thing that the Creator give us is what? A sound mind to be able to do what? Create. To be able to do what? Generate. So if we're able to create and generate, I always tell community and people, if a person have a product and we use the product, we can make this entity rich. Now we hold that product responsible for doing what we say that we can do. This is the science. This is the thing I be telling brothers and sisters with our mantras and with our tarot readings. And when I saw another empress on here today, because I told y'all people send me stuff, and it was like, "She, what do you think about this?" And I said, "Oh, here we go." It's another lady say she read people for this amount of money, and I told people, and I did with all the tarot cards. I did with all level tarot cards, and she was like, "Well, would you charge people to do this?" I said, "I would never do that." I said, "I can't do that." I said, I did with the Zulu as well. I said, have anybody know who Credo Matua is? Some people do. I said, even the more dimes, and the Tasawuf and the Sufis, I said, that's nothing I can do. Now, could a person come to me, for divine wisdom, or what they should do far as cleansing themselves inside, and my recommendations, you know, that, for my personal experience, but anything else with these tarot cards and with this voodoo or this hoodoo, when I know, brothers and sisters, that's the wrong way. You can't promote that on social media. You cannot promote that on social media. Because that's a violation of the gods. That's a violation of the gods to promote something for personal gain when you playing with who like that. You will never see me doing that. I do hoodoo on everybody that come into my essence. Everybody that come around me. You can ask all my muftis, they be like, how the hell you know all this? Woo woo. I said, because I have to do the voodoo on everything. What you mean? It's very simple. And I stand on what I stand on. So none of that stuff I promote. I could be on social media with my tarot cards or my or the Mystic Sea tarot cards, and do the same thing that anybody else doing, but I know I can burn all the cars up and do the holistic work that needs to be done. That's why I be saying it's like this is not no joke. When I tell people, listen, man, how can I say this? We profess a lot of things. We think a lot of things, and our ego, our lower self, gets us tripped up sometimes. What do I mean when I say these things? When I talk about the divine, when I talk about all these essence, and I say we have lost our culture. When I talk about spiritual guys like in families and things, and then I say when we may have in our families old preachers and this and that, they may have left the flesh and all that. And then when I tell nieces and nephews and cousins and all these people and your friends and family, I said when the flesh is gone, who who are you gonna want to speak on your behalf? Like, what is this all about? I always ask my brothers and sisters, and I say, this social media, man, I like it because I met so many good people on here. But when I talk about spirits and dealing with the divine and dealing with a true understanding, I can't be reading people and my life is in shambles. It's just like a person trying to tell me about investing. Like they working, like, are you happy with what you're doing? And they talk about they dealing with Forex and all this. And everybody that I speak that do with that Forex stuff, they ain't doing none of that stuff no more. And all these individuals act like they some gurus. And I say, well, why does it change? And if it's so good, and if this so profitable, why you don't say, okay, well, people can donate. I don't charge. The same way I'll be telling these people with these pyramid schemes and these Ponzi schemes, I said, if it's so great, then if a person gonna make so much money, then I will show them the way. Just like on Wolf of Wall Street, I will show a person the way, for I can show them the way. So then they can go show somebody else. If this is what it is, if that's what it is, brothers and sisters. So when I talk about the sexual energy, everything that we put out here, as far as what's outside and the love aspect and how we operate and how we treat our women and things, and how I tell men, dog, you're not operating in your higher self. Even my Moorish brothers that wear the fez, and I said, so you don't know what the fez represent in this context? Because the fez represents our empresses. The white fez with the gold tassel, it represents the birth cycle. The nine to the ninth to the ninth power of nine. So how you talk about your sexual energy and all this, and your sexual energy don't result to total admiration for what? The divine feminine, our empresses, that's being abused and disrespected in the world. And we need our empresses. And when I tell people, watch Chirac, and you will see what it's about. Where I say is y'all empresses, y'all have the power. Y'all have the power. And it's on us to help you stand up and straighten up your crown. It's our responsibility as well, as nobles. It's our responsibilities for us to bring a divine message. It's our responsibilities. Because if not, most of our women are widows and they being abused and you being preyed upon. And I'm telling you, I'm right here. I'm right here, man. So with that being said, man, we've been going for an hour. I just wanted to bring a little, you know, introduction to you about the tantric. We can talk about so many different aspects of the sexual energy and pheromones and attraction and the Baphomet and the divine feminine and the divine masculine. We can talk about the so-called pentagram coming together, man and woman, creating life. We can talk about all these manifestations of sexual energy and the right manifestation to bring our community back to love. For no woman can be a widow. For no children can be out here by themselves. That's not a community. And what I'm saying, we need to go back to how it was in certain days when it was unity, where women went by themselves, where they can be a part of community when they weren't going places by themselves. You know, where they would be coming to a meeting every day. We coming to prayer every day. We meeting together. We having people in the community. People are being screened. Why? Because we got to screen these brothers and the empresses. We must. And if individuals is down, we're having multiple. If the male and the male and the females is down with that, and that's a family structure that want to happen, so be it. This is what I'm talking about. Community, man, and structure where nothing is ashamed of. Because right now, people be cheating, you know? And I say, well, if you really down with what you're doing and who you are, it have to be something special about you and the women to have multiple. This is all I be saying to people, because it's individuals that's down with that. That's all I'll be saying. I say, stand for something, or we gonna fall for anything. You know, if we're gonna operate as family, I think we can do that. That's all I be saying when I have these conversations with my brothers and sisters as I travel, because just like another Caucasian lady, European, whatever you want to call them, she was like, "Oh, your energy is so high," and I love being home in my city of Flint, Michigan, because I go so many places that people be like, "You just go to these places." Like I went to Stepping Stone Falls today, and you can pull that up on social media. Stepping Stone Falls is a little place where they got like the waterfalls, little trails, and I like nature. I love nature. I love trees, and so I'm out there. You know, I got my turban on and this, that, and the other. So I'm chilling. I got my little sage, you know, because I keep sage with me when I travel. And she like, your energy, your vibration is just all over the place. She like, you got a halo over you. And I'm like, well, you know, thank you. She would ask me who I am. And I always say nobody. And she was like, no, yes, you are. And so we talk. I'm sitting there talking to this lady for about like 45 minutes. You know, she done looked me up on social media. She probably on here now. Just like, you amazing and this and that and the other. And like, people need to hear you. I said, the right people hear me. And she was like, no, but you this and you that. I said, no, not really. To the individuals like you, yes. I always say to the end, but to my own liking, no, I don't think. Even though I feel that I'm a cannon, like a loose cannon, but no, I'm just playing. But I stand for something. You know what I mean? And I have accountability. And the things that I talk about, I was able to speak on it on college campuses. I was able to lecture. You know, I got my undergrad in business. I was able to do oral dissertations. I had to do capstones to understand what I'm doing. They say like, hey man, once you get the right people, what you're doing, this is a successful thing that you got going on. Because on paper, it's successful. I had to show my blueprints of what I want to do with my organization, with my nonprofit organization, to be able to do things and be able to solicit companies for donations, all that stuff. And it was like, man, once you get this popping off and regular people can donate and get a tax exempt receipt, it was like, that's really the blueprint. And so I was able to speak. And then when I moved to Arizona, because I've been in Arizona since 2012. And when I moved to Arizona, I had a metaphysical temple to where I was teaching every Saturday and Sunday. I had all different type of people coming in, and I was delivering a divine message. I met some Moors. They make a long story short, they were just off the wall. But as I was started going to Grand Canyon University, I never got compromised of who I was. I met European professors. One of my professors is a judge out in Arizona. I met the damn mayor of Tucson when I had my soup store out in Marana. Another one of my professors is a potentate at the Masonic Lodge, a Scottish Rite Mason, and everything I talk about, they know. Not some, not a little, everything. And so I'll be welcome in those houses. And when I say that they sons of Muslims and they have to respect it, all I'll be, I tell everybody this and I say it all the time. It hurts my heart that I don't be able to get to speak in a misnomer black community. I say they're gonna wait till I'm old like Farrakhan and then want me to come speak when I'm old, when I don't have the energy and the fire to travel like this, and then they want to get me in like I'm gonna be some old time preacher. But I'll probably be in a whole different country by then. If this don't pop off how it's supposed to, because I can go somewhere else and I know it is and just work. I tell people, it's like, dude, my professor like, you can move to Europe and just lecture. They'll pay you a grip. Then that mean I got to be in Europe. That mean I got to give up all my aspirations and the things that I feel I can do, and I feel I still have time before I kick my feet up. But for real. But for real. And that's what I be saying. And I know people be connected to this. Like, it be more that be on my page. Nobles and empresses from from in Atlanta. There be all these other people. And I say, well, and these people be on my page continuously. And I say, well, what's the issue? Because if you showing up a plethora of times, either I'm educating you, either you that's there and you taking notes, or I'm entertaining you. I don't know what it is. I know I ain't entertaining you because I know I ain't that handsome. So either it's something that I'm saying that's resonating. It's something that I'm saying that's resonating. Why? Because you showing them over and over. It's just like if I was selling work and everybody showing up, coming up, they like, man, that ain't no good work. How it ain't no good work? And you coming and buying like clockwork. Every time I'm on the block, you showing up. Come on now. And so when I be speaking about things in my academic endeavors, I was allowed to speak with passion and understanding, but I had to prove it. Every time I couldn't just come all passionate and with fire if I couldn't prove it. If I can come with the peer-reviewed scholarly research, and then if I can do it in a written or oral dissertation, I was done. And so everything that I speak on, I say, I don't tell you what to do, but I show you a lot of things that were hidden from you and others use it. And then they might throw it to you back as something spooky and just turn in the dials or turn in a pentagram slightly to get you caught up. But when I straighten it up, you will see exactly what I'm talking about. And you will start seeing all these degrees, all these tools that others take. Because all these tools you need. That's why I said, community, all this stuff will strip from us. It make us do what? Think on the outside instead of thinking on the inside. And so I always tell people when they say, I have to say it like this, excuse my candor, or the white man this, the white man that. And I say, dude, I got my dual master's degree from Grand Canyon University. Everything is in the libraries. I don't care what nobody say. You get on here and talk about this, that, and the other, something hidden. I'm gonna say, man, you lying. I'm gonna say you ain't studied far enough. You ain't even take the time to do elementary studies. Because if you did, you will understand. And I'm talking about on historical levels. I'm talking about on lawful levels. I'm talking about linguistic levels. On all levels. I know when a person says something is hidden, and I say nothing is hidden. Nothing is hidden. When I say nothing, nothing is hidden. And it's more than it's more than meets the eye. Why? Because it's some things that only a selected group gonna know. That's how I know. And I'm saying that. I said, I know how I know because I'm part of the Philosophical Research Society. I know that it's a plethora of information that the average Negro don't know. And I don't care what degree you have. I don't care if you know Mason or Moore no Greek fraternity. I know for a fact. I know for a fact. I know. I'll give you this little bit of information. It's a whole library. It's a whole, excuse me, department at the Philosophical Research Society called the Manly P. Hall Library. A whole area called the Manly P. Hall Library with all type of esoteric science, with all type of ancient books, with who actually created America, all this type of stuff. When I say you, I'll say, would you stand on that? Would you put your life on that history? When I bring you something that's going to trump all that, you'll be like, damn, this person discovered America, this person, how? And I say, yeah, everything is written. And it's housed somewhere that a lot of people don't have access to. But I bet you no one can get on here and be like, that man not telling you the truth. I bet you that. I bet you that 100-fold. I bet you I could talk about a couple things and the whole social media, it'll start shedding off. I'm telling you, it happened to me before. When I was on Facebook and all social media, they banned me when I was talking about the book called, what's that book? Without Sanctuary. It's a book called Without Sanctuary, and how it was modern lynching people and blah, blah, blah. And I showed in there, I'm still doing the research because there was a brother named Goodman that got hung in Florida. But I said, social media is going to ban me when I show this. Showed up. Boom, I was done. So I know if I show something right now, what people be saying on social media, I'll just give an analogy like this. I know y'all heard of Adam Blavatsky, right? If everybody heard of Adam Blavatsky, everybody talk about Adam Blavatsky with the Theosophical Research Society, and everybody talk about she was this type of seer and all that. I'm telling you, with all due respect, poo diddly. That's what I'm telling you. That's what I'm telling you right now. I'm telling you, Adam Blavatsky, I tell you, all these people back then that we give credit to were nothing but transcribers. All of them. All of them. All of them. They were learned by Sufis. All that stuff they got is regurgitated science. That your brother is 99 degrees. And if they were all in the flesh, they'd be like, well, your cousin, your brother, your uncle, your son is that. Your homeboy is that. What? Where are we trying to get to? They only can get to 32. The Negro only get to 32, with all due respect. All you gotta do is look, ask them. This ain't no secret. The Negro only get to 32 degrees. They don't get to 33 times 3. Understand? So you get to a level of stagnation with your understanding and with your explanation of all the magical essences of sexual magic, of pheromones, of all these things that I'm talking about. I keep telling y'all, that's what's taken from our brothers and sisters. Our cap is out. Listen to what I'm saying. Our cap has been put out for the lack of knowledge because we refuse to learn. I'm telling you, nobles, I'm telling you, Acacia, like, I know what happens. When everybody be asking me, you got family? I say, yeah, they show up here and there. A lot of my family be on my page. And they say, so when something happen or to your cousin, your niece, or nephew, who's going to be the one that's going to represent them? Who's going to, this, that, and the other? I said, I have no idea. All my muftis, they have it in line. I'm even in my professor's, he have a trust. My professor, he was like, well, when anything, this, that, and the other, I want you to do the procedures and the eulogy, blah, blah, blah. I was like, huh? He was like, yeah. Man, I had a professor that passed at GCU, gave me his whole library. One of my professors introduced me to the Philosophical Research Society, told me to meet him. He like, meet me in Los Angeles at Felix Avenue, blah, 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 woo, 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 woo. I said, huh? He was like, I want to introduce you to something for you can have access to this anytime you need reference anything. He was like, you're going to have to get your own charter. See, people be upset the stuff that I know. Like, if I say a little more, I know people that was boule. I know people that was boule in my family. Peace be among his soul. And I say, I'm gonna always be transparent. I can't be a truth teller and don't tell the truth. And like I said, even with me in my academic endeavor, they don't want no goofball. They ain't going to, listen, none of these entities are looking for no goofball street Negro. All that stuff is cap. They look for the 10%, those ones that have a gift and a special that can lead the world or be convincing enough to take that check. What? To misguide the people, to miseducate the people, and give truth and falsehood strangely mixed. It just, I couldn't be bought because I have a father. I'm telling you. And I say, I'm just gonna have to stand on what I believe because I done suffered enough. I just gonna have to stand on what I'm doing. And if I don't make it in the manifestation of what, compared to people, finances, or this, I just won't make it. I'm okay with that because I live a good life. I'm okay with that. You know? This what I promulgate to my brothers and sisters. I said, come on, y'all. To all my empresses, I was like, come on, y'all. Don't let nobody get you caught up like they have so much power. Only people have power is the ones out here that think they have power because they stripped you from your power and they energy suckers. I'm going to keep saying it, man. I'm going to stand on it. I'm going to stand on it with righteousness. I never had a problem as I tarry, as I travel and do my thing with no other nationality. When I flew out from Arizona, I drove to Mesa, Airport Little. I had on my member jacket with all my signs and symbols. The people at the airport was like, hi, your turban and this, that, and the other. I had on my beads, everything. It's so funny. I'm like, well, man, I got to take, she forget to tell me to take my jacket and stuff off. She was like, are you Indian or this, that, and the other? I said, I explained, I'm like, I'm Moorish, this, that, and the other, blah, blah, blah. She like, wow. Everybody asked me, are your beads heavy? Can I touch it? I'm like, I really don't let people touch it, but, go ahead, because I keep my cloth with me. I wipe them off. But I always talk about energy. Energy. That's what I'm saying, telling people in real life, like energy. And we be having this stuff right in our families. This is what I be telling my family. I like, we be having this, it's getting ready to be a new dispensation. Especially when I be telling my empresses, I said, listen, I'm right here. I'm right here. I'll read everybody tarot right here. Don't have to have no card. I bet you I'll be spot on with everybody on here. I'm talking about people I don't know. You ain't got to tell me nothing. I don't give a damn about your birthday. Because that can be yes and no. Because this is yes and no when you're dealing with people tarot and when you're dealing with people birthdays. Only thing that's accurate is if you tell me the time of your birth and I say, well, if it's this time of the year or if the child is born at this time of the month, you would be a Capricorn. If the child born from this month, you would be an Aquarius. If the child born from, that's the only thing that'll be factual. Everything else can be yes or no. Everything else can be yes or no. Because you can say somebody with the same astrological sign and one of them is operating on this manifestation and the other one on some crazy you know what. So off the top, you can say that's not valid 100% across the board. And then you got to deal with subjective and objective. Then you got to deal with the sexual aspect of what language, of objective and objective. Because everything that I'm talking about is a form of understanding and love. So I connect everything to that sexual energy, that divine feminine. I hope you caught what I'm saying, brothers and sisters. You can't deny what I'm saying. This all that I'll be talking about, where I say, man, let me bring you back to some brothers and sisters. Because we done missed, we missing our whole culture aspect. When I talk about the divine feminine, when I say, man, so we're not going to talk about the divine feminine. We're not going to talk about 9 to the 9th to the 9th power of 9. Because that's the only heaven I know. It's like when the flesh is gone, they go back to what? Come on. But the heaven I know where I choose to go to every night and be born again, well, that's the only heaven that I'm interested in going to. Because when my flesh gone, that's it with me. When my flesh is gone, I ain't tripping on that. But going into heaven, the only heaven I know is the divine feminine. That's the only heaven I know. Because the other stuff is just what? A mental state. And you can be physically alive, but spiritually dead. You can be physically alive, but spiritually dead. So when you talk about heaven and hell, that's a state of mind. When I talk about going in heaven, and the only heaven that I'm concerned with is with the divine feminine. That's what I'm telling you. I can care less what anybody else talking about. When the male God, the male and woman is God. Because together, I just showed y'all in the tantric magic, the negative and the positive and negative becomes one. And what happens? It creates life. That's immaculate conception. So how are you going to be away from sex? And a child is born by what? Immaculate conception. Male and woman creating life. In 9 months, the child is born. It have to be something immaculate with that. What? Because the creator is in the essence of that. How? Because the child cannot be born. So it have to be something immaculate of that conception. So we can't be afraid to talk about sexual energy and sexual magic. How? Not in this context. I always tell my brothers and sisters, I said, we have got into the level where we look at others as our spiritual guides. And a spiritual guide is someone that you can touch, someone that you know. A prophet and an angel come from amongst your own family. And that's why us as a people, we'll never have nothing. And it hurts my heart. That's the only thing I talk about. If I didn't know what I was talking about, I asked everybody, how did I graduate from Grand Canyon University, a Christian university, with a dual master's degree, talking like this? How did I graduate from Grand Canyon University with a dual master's degree in first century history and religion and Christian leadership, talking like this? I can't be that crazy. I can't be off. What I've discovered is my people are lost due to a lack of knowledge because we refuse to learn. What I've discovered and learned is a lot of our people took a check. I call them gatekeepers, with all due respect. I saw a lot of fraternity Negroes and a lot of Masonic Negroes have took a check. They lied to you. That's what I seen. That's what I seen with my own eyes. I've seen that. Could I have been a part of that? Yes. Could I do that right now today? Yes. But I still refuse. Why? Because I think my life would be taken from me easily. Why? Because I done suffered enough, so it'd be simple for me to be destroyed. Why? Because I'm supposed to stand on something. I'm supposed to stand on something, so the eyes is on me further. So if I compromise for $1 and I know I'm compromising, I think something will happen to me. And I feel I'm strong enough to have to go through all these struggles and pains for the clear day because I'm very intelligent in what I do. I'm very calculative. Like I said, I'm very good at what I do. And when I got my undergrad in business management with a minor in marketing and sales, I didn't take things as being the CEO. I took things as being the manager and a financial manager of the CFO. So I took my life and everything that I do as a CFO to where I know how to budget so goddamn good. A person be like, this dude is insane, but in a good way, to where I'll be able to teach kids this stuff. And that's what we be missing because we don't have this in our society. People that go to church and they give donations to these entities. But then when you see the building and you see the business strategy and the business savvy, we don't be introduced to that. We don't have it. Why? Because we don't have these classes. I'll give you an analogy. If you have a kid right now that want to open up a business right now that say they want to make bow ties, and I say, okay, and you have a parent right now, and you say, man, well, I don't know how to do that, son, but let me take you up to the temple. Let me let you sit you down with Shikari Goodman Bay, and we're going to give him a small donation, and he's going to help you get your paperwork right, your EIN, register you on the Duns and Bradstreet, show you what articles of organization is, show you what Quick 30 accounts is, show you all this stuff, etc., how to build your business line of credit, etc., all that stuff to learn this. And matter of fact, I'm going to learn too. That's a win-win. We don't have that. And I'm saying that's what the community is supposed to have. That's where I say the gathering of people. We don't need a whole bunch of people thinking they know something. That ain't it. That like, that's not what I'm talking about. So when I say things that I was able to see in my academic endeavors, I never had a European disagree with nothing I'm saying. No professor, no Scottish Rite Mason, no European Jew, no misnomer Al Islam Mason. I mean Al Islam Muslim professor. None. No Anglo Saxon. None of that. No Jew, no Catholic, none, none. Why? Because in scholarship, you have to come from scholarship. And they say if that's how you feel, Sheik Goodman Bay, well then you have to explain what you're saying from scholarship. And I always do. And I always tell people, if I didn't, how did I graduate from Grand Canyon University with a dual master degree? Explaining and talking like this. Somebody tell me. I should be accepted with all my brothers and sisters. I should be accepted with all my brothers and sisters. I keep telling y'all, my oral dissertation was, I proved that the misnomer black man was the father of civilization proved by the Bible alone, without no biasness, without no hate. Proved by the Bible alone, standing ovation. I did a written dissertation about the ancient Arab, showing you that Arab is not ancient, not A-R-A-B, it's A-R-A-P. And Vladimir Dale was a Russian scholar, and he wrote a dictionary and explaining who the ancient Arab is. And I shared that on my TikTok page and social media, and it was a scholar and a European Albion Trelodite, whatever you want to call him, named Bertram Thomas, and he wrote a book called The Arab. He also wrote a book called Arabia and Aladdin, and he wrote who the ancient Arab is. So when I talk about scholarship and history, I talk about things that have been suppressed, because I tell people nothing's new. And everything I'm saying, how can you deny what I'm saying? And I wouldn't shun from talking about this with the so-called other man that you say got a hold on our neck. And I show y'all video after video. Y'all can go and see the Scottish Rite Mason brother that I know that said honoring Noble Drew Ali on his 135th birthday. Showed you that they sons of Muslims. Showed you that why do our brothers call themselves some widow's son? I come from love. I don't come from no hate. I say I come from love. The only people that can hurt you is that look like you and can subjugate you. What? To slavery. That it happened to Patrice Lumumba in the Congo. It happened to all great men. And when I say these things, and when I speak to our empresses, and when I speak from love, I say we have to be protected. That's all I be telling my brothers and sisters of vampires and energy suckers that drain your energy and have you operating on the wrong level to try to get you to commit it to some fugazi. And I be telling my brothers and sisters, I'm like, I'm right here, and everybody know I'm telling the truth. Why? You don't have to like me, but you can't say I'm not telling you the truth. I mean, all those spells, man, we can disperse all those spells. And this is what I be telling our brothers and sisters. We done got into disrespecting our elders and our gifts. You know? And other people, they take it and throw it in religious practices. They call it speaking in tongue. But you know the Bible says that if ain't nobody there to interpret that crap you saying, shut your mouth. With all due respect. So when we talking about dealing with our spirits and dealing with the 12 African spirits, and when you see the European, when he taking the chicken and the turkey or whatever and twirling up, that's come from our African culture. Just like when I be talking about a medicine man and a shaman, it's more than just a medicine man. It's a person that can go back to that area and circumscribe their community with math, reading, arithmetic, agriculture, you know, spiritualness, brotherhood. You know, that's what these are the things that I'm talking about. It's missing. And that's why a lot of people join these other orders, these Greek fraternities or these fraternal orders or these Masonic orders. And I say, man, I'm gonna always be transparent. I said, dude, I love everybody. But my empresses, if you're an Eastern Star, you know your pentagram is turned with the horns up. You know? And I love my family. I'm at my mother's house right now. I'm telling you, I'm transparent. I know what go on in the world. I'm telling you, I seen the life. I seen the boule. I told you I had family member that was in the boule. My mom would sit right next to me and say, yes, he ain't lying. Yes, this was my brother. Yep, uh-huh, blah, blah. It's just the truth. And I'm telling you, when I moved to Arizona, you know, it was introduced to me. A lot of people was like, oh, well, they were like, oh, you Larry Goodman's son. Yeah. And so when I met these professors and all this, they were showing me things. They were like, you have to get your own charter, young man. They're like, you just gonna have to, because you damn. I know you're not gonna be no Prince Hall Mason, something that's under what you know, and you a divine minister and an educator. Like you're gonna so much stuff that's gonna be revealed to you. Why? Because it ain't no way you can do that. Ain't no way you can go against what I'm talking about. And that's all I be telling my brothers and sisters. I'll be like, man, when I be looking at these brothers, I'll be like, come on now. I said, and when they see me, they want to talk to me behind closed doors. I said, I knew you were just playing, shucking and jiving. You know? And all I ask people is, when you get a chance, research Steve Coakley and watch his old videos, and then have a conversation with me. Be like, man, Steve Coakley. And then I can show you other God men. And it was a brother on social media. He was like, when he was at the Misnomer Black School, and he was like, I ain't never had a problem going to the European schools to let me talk. And he said, I come here and y'all got a problem with me. He was like, all these people, you know, oh, I work at this public school and all this, and the kids so bad, they don't have no mentor and all this. And I get to go in Arizona and talk to all different nationality kids. I'll be going to these schools and to the YMCA's, lecturing and at the GCU, at Arizona Christian College, at Peoria Community College, and I don't even do it in my own community. When I come home, the school, I got my undergrad from a college called Cleary University. And like at my community college, you got University of Michigan, I think Michigan State still, Ferris State, and I know they had Cleary when I was going. But the main campus for Cleary is in Howell, Michigan. You know, and the Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan used to stay in Howell, Michigan. But anyway, every time I come home, I always get to go there and lecture. I always get to go there and speak. Always, always. It was a professor named Dr. Blysav at my community college. Every time I used to come home, you know, she was like, come up here and speak in class and talk to people about, you know, being prepared in life, this, and that, and the other. They'd be like, this, anything you want to speak on. And the Spirit will always get me to where I want to speak, and it'll be fitting. And then a lot of the kids start asking questions and things, and then it'll go to where it need to be, you know? And then it started going on. Like, for instance, when I went to Cleary and I spoke to the graduating class, this is one of the questions they asked me. They were like, man, well, how did you succeed, you know, getting your bachelor's degree online and having to do a dissertation after every class? And I've just been honest. I said it wasn't hard. I said, excuse me, it wasn't easy. I said, but what was good is I had a team. I had a good empress on my team that was rocking with me. What I did, I sought help, and I was willing to get help. I was willing to do whatever it takes to succeed. I used my own finances to do whatever it took to succeed, and I dedicated myself to it. I took it serious. I took it serious. I took it serious. So when everybody be saying something so easy, and I say, well, why don't you have it? When everybody be saying, oh, this and shit, I say, well, why don't you do it? If all this stuff is so easy, everybody should have it, because it ain't that damn easy. You have to sacrifice something. And then when your heart is pure, then you sacrificing even more. You know? So when I got my undergrad, then I wouldn't got my dual master's degree. You know? I wouldn't got my dual master's degree. So what I'm saying is, when I come home, I'm able to go out And the same thing that I'm speaking on here, the same thing that I'm telling people how to succeed, they had me come there and they give me donations. The same way. They were like, man, your words is powerful because they looking at you. You're not no one here just a motivational speaker. You actually did what they trying to accomplish. It mean more. They be asking me so many personal questions. So they like, you graduated from here in 2014? I said, yeah. They're like, it wasn't hard? I said, heck yeah. I said, having to do a capstone after every class? They're like, what did you do? They're like, was it easy to navigate in the library? I said, no. They said, what did you do? I said, I was willing to take the time to come in here and put the work in to guarantee my success. I had to put all the variables together to guarantee my success. So when I was working in admissions at Cleary, my office was at Mott, I always used to ask people, do you really want to go not only to Cleary, because it's harder than University of Michigan, all them other schools, but are you ready to do this? Are you willing to sacrifice this, and this to accomplish this? If we have this real conversation and I don't feel confident in that, I'm not going to force you to make one of the biggest choices in your life just to try to enroll you. I'm not. I'm going to say, bruh, think about it. Because if these variables ain't in line, then the cards is not stacked on your side to guarantee success so much. You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying, brothers and sisters? So, and then when I got my master's degree from Grand Canyon University, I did the same thing. I was going on campus and I got my dual master's degree. I had to do a lot of work online, navigating the library, having to write in APA format, having to do annotated bibliographies, having to respond to the professor and the students to get credit, having to make sure papers was written. When you have to turn your papers in when you're doing graduate studies, it's a system called the Turnitin system. And what that Turnitin system does, it spits out all the information where you got it from. So it'll say this percentage came from this percentage came from that percentage came from this percentage came from that. And so a lot of students was asking me, what did you do to correct that? I said, well, I invested in this little doohickey where you can just put on it's like a little headset. And instead of typing, you can talk to the computer and your words will come out. And so that helped me a lot to automatically, the things that I was thinking, all the research that I was doing when I was reading it on paper, I was putting it in my own words, speaking it, and it all came out of my own words, speaking it. So when I turned it into the system, I may have had like 3%, a 4% so-called plagiarism, and all that is the words like the and, which is a perfect paper, because you're gonna always have and the, and it's gonna always pick that up. So that's not a problem, And so all these things, how I was able to give people keys to success, and then having a good team. I had an amazing team when I was getting my dual master's degree. I was part of so many different groups, doing so much work on the campus. I stayed in the library. And when I got introduced to the doctoral library as a writer, and they was like, oh, well, we need to introduce you to this because the way I was writing and the things I was writing upon, even though they was asking me, like, I was getting my dual master's degree. One class I was taking hermeneutics and hermetics, and the history of religion and the history of Christianity and Islam. And they were like, the dean want to speak to you. I'm like, want to speak to me for what? They were like, where you get your information from? This now, are you part of this society? And am I willing to share my library and all this and this, that, and the other? And X, Y, Z and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, no, I'm not willing to do that. But I'm willing to speak and I'm willing to lecture. And so they allowed me to come on campus. I got this little campus badge where I get to go in and boop. So I go on campus, I speak in the libraries and things, and it's picking up. It's picking up. But all this stuff, when I tell people, this is not normal to a lot of my friends and family. I'm from a small city from Flint, Michigan. I'm from a small city of Flint, Michigan. I know a lot of preachers in the city, and I'll be like, damn, like really? Because I know it shake up the atmosphere. I know the reason why a lot of our people don't go to church. And especially when my professors, they say when they hear you speak, how can they not understand what you're saying? You don't diss the biblical scriptures. I explain them. And then I can give you the history of all spirituality. Why? Because if we're going to deal with that context, if we're going to deal with that degree, I have to get a history of it. If we're going to deal with all these different crafts, like when we talk about our sexual energy and tantra magic and Sufism and all these different crafts, I will hope you want it from someone that can deliver it to you in a certain fashion of understanding and truth. I hope when you listen to someone and you say, man, I wanna open up a business, and people with their ego, instead of listening, they'll just be rambling enough at the mouth because you'll be having a pissing contest with somebody. And all I do is walk away from my people. And I say, man, I'm not trying to have no pissing contest with you, sir, ma'am. I'm like, I know it's a certain way, and if things not set up in a specific way, ain't nothing happening. I know if you set up a certain way and you in the city of Flint and you ain't conglomerate, you ain't connecting with people and all these grants, the Mott Foundation, and people ain't into the know and they ain't going to them meetings. And when people call me all the way from Arizona and they be like, brother, do you know this person, that person? I'm like, yeah, I hit the people up. They're like, well, bro, well, all you got to do is be here and do this. You can get this grant. I'm like, yeah, I know. And that's what I be telling people. I said, it's no link up. Everybody want to be their own. That's when I say the sexual energy. And I say, what is your sexual energy is off. The way we treat each other is off. And when I say the other man, they use religion, history, all this energy for power. They take care of each other. I'm telling you, I've seen it with my own eyes. They don't take this and destroy their people. They get the ones that's educated, anointed, and consecrated. They put them at the forefront, and they teach this and preach this, and they use it for power. You think the Jewish community, the Ashkenazi Jews in certain areas, you think they ain't using this for power? It's all power. The religious laws trump everything. And I tell my people, I say, man, we lost. I'm going to keep saying it. Why? Because we use these words to identify the slavery. And then the ones that's been in the fire, that's the teachers and the maps and the guides, it's frowned upon because we're not out here as caricatures. When I ask a person, hell, I've been in this over 20 years. I've been in this over 20 years. I've been doing this over 20 years. And like I said, since I've moved to Arizona and since I've been able to be introduced to different things and higher understanding, I'll be like, oh my God. I'll be like, it's a spell that's cast upon us. And then when you move the veil, when you move the mask like a Scooby-Doo movie, it be your own brother and sister. That's the scary part of what I be telling my brothers and sisters. I'll be like, oh my God. They be like, what, Sheik? I said, dude, it's us. I'm saying it's us. It's no solidarity. I got to get out of here, man. I got to eat, man, and lay down. But I hope it come to the day, man, where brothers and sisters be like, man, we can do this. Because we can own so much stuff with the money we giving away. We can learn so much stuff. We can put our own things together. But I say brothers and sisters want to be their own. It's too many people on the same level when I say it's no storehouse. It's just like how I helped a group of brothers right now, and they making me some shirts and things. I said, well, how many is y'all? It's 10. I said, so why y'all don't have the machines? I don't know. Y'all going out each week trying to impress some girls, going into these cheap clubs, buying bottles of liquor that cost $30, $40. It costs $500 in the club, and y'all Negroes do this 2 or 3 times a week. I said, digger y'all money. You talking about y'all don't have enough $5,000 to buy a stitch machine. You done spent $5,000. And so when we start doing these things and when I start showing people things, how to do things and bringing people together, then you be accountable. Then that's a testimony. It's a way to do things. It's a way you do things. If you save $100 for 12 months, that's $1,200. Now imagine you got 1,200 people doing that. When I tell people certain things, when I show people numbers and they be like, damn, I said, now you have a community. Now you have something to stand on. Now you pulling yourself up by your bootstraps. Now you have a voice. I speak about this all the time, even in my neighborhood when I talk about the Great Migration. I said this earlier. I said everybody research a lady. I think she in Dearborn. Her name Mama Sue. Mama Sue. She owned down there a whole block. And when I showed this blueprint to my professors, they saw that blueprint. They was like, "This is amazing." They're like, like what you trying to do? And I'm like, man, I'm trying to raise money with my people, just like they giving their tax money away, and I can give everybody a tax exempt receipt, and we all can be stakeholders. They like, that's amazing. And he was like, if your people understand that they giving their money to Uncle Sam, and they can donate to your religious and charitable contribution of your choice, and you can give them a tax exempt receipt. He was like, y'all can own a whole neighborhood. You can generate millions of dollars. And it could be a religious neighborhood with your temple right there with businesses all under your structure, right in your neighborhood, because it's available. And so when I showed the blueprints, like I tell people, I use a prospect because in my neighborhood, when you go up Patterson Street, I used to live on the corner of Patterson. I own like one, two, three, four lots. And then when you turn on Mount Elliott, I own like one, two, three, about four more lots. And so, like I said, I'll be going downtown to Land Bank tomorrow, and they might not be open. I'm probably have to ring the doorbell and all that, but I'm gonna show you all that process. I might not show you from the beginning to the end. I might show you the middle when I get the paperwork, and I'm gonna show y'all how I get this land. Sometimes I get it donated to me, sometimes, or 9 times out of 10, it's just tennis shoe money, because I only deal with lots. And I got a big plan, and I've been telling people this for years, and now I got these other people like, well, just get the lot, all the lots, and if you can buy the whole street, we'll give you this to buy it. I said, nope. I said, nope. I found out another way to do it, another way to get it all and get it for a small fee. I just have to be responsible for a small little thing that I have the equipment to do, and I have the help to help me keep the fields cut in the summer. It's a wrap. And so these are the things that I be telling us. We don't have these discussions as a people, no matter where you stay. And this is a form of the Great Migration. And this is the stuff I'm able to speak on. Like I always tell people, me and my brothers, we own 10 acres in Kingsman, Arizona. I tell everybody, you talk about a garden, having our own greenhouse, we can have that. But like I tell brothers and sisters, it's bigger than what we talk about, and we don't have the opportunity to talk about these things in a setting which we call church, where most of our brothers and sisters meet. We don't have systematic classes where we have business classes, where we have civic classes, where we have entrepreneur and business classes, no matter if it's nonprofit or profit. We don't have community development. We don't know who we're building, and to where when we get in these houses and all this stuff and plight, we get it fixed up fast and everybody can be stakeholders. You know, all these things that we're missing that I'm able to speak upon, you know, to bring people together. I'm telling you, and that's a religious community is a beautiful community. If you understand the language that I'm saying, it's a beautiful thing. In our neighborhoods and things, like we can take our communities back. And that's all I'll be saying, man, to my brothers and sisters, because like I said, I'm home. All the stores they ran by the misnomer Arabs. All the chicken spots ran by the other man. Like I said, when you go to Detroit, all the Coney Islands ran by the other man. And we talk about people donating to our community, and those individuals, even the so-called ones that be owning like stores like Hinky Dinky, the misnomer Arabs, they be wearing their turbans, selling alcohol and all that stuff. That's a sin in their culture. They'll never have no stores like that in their community selling alcohol, beer, and cigarettes in their community. They'll never have that. And then another thing I saw today, I shared with my muftis, like all these little clothing stores with all these clothes with the glitter on it. These niggas will be selling this pop or whatever it is that take like them damn codeine activists, give your ass diabetes. And they be selling it to these brothers for $20 a bottle. And I said, y'all don't see the hypocrisy in this? They won't sell that crap to their community. They targeted the Negro with everything. They selling you some sugary ass stuff that tastes like some goddamn lean activist that'll give you diabetes. And the stuff that's going on. And I said, dude, we still allowing this in our communities. We still don't own nothing. We still not talking about this. We talk about fresh fruits and vegetables. You're not getting no fresh fruits and vegetables because you're going to the store. Most of the fruits and vegetables in the store, especially the fruits, are seedless. Everything is seedless. So I'm telling y'all, man, once again, man, I love y'all. I just wanted to talk about a few things and we freestyled a little bit. But thank y'all for your time. Like I said, I'll be in my city for about a month. I got a lecture speaking at the library. Then I'll be speaking at my alma mater in Clear University. And like I said, for myself, as I close, it's an honor to speak with these places, with these different dignitaries and everything. But my people are lost due to a lack of knowledge. And we got a certain type of gatekeepers in our churches that's keeping us stagnant. And I tell us we can create our own brothers and sisters. There's so much available in our city of Flint. There's so much to be shared with us. We need the right voice. We need the right people to come in because there's so much that we missing. It's so much that we're not even being able to talk about. It's so much information that's not being shared, especially when it comes to grants and all these other things. It's so much that people don't know. And I ain't even been home for a whole week. And my phone be buzzing. And I'll be like, how people don't know about this? How people don't have these contracted teams together as a conglomerate? People coming together, 10 and 20 brothers, buying these houses, fixing them up, boom, 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 doing their thing. What is going on? But 10 to 20 homeboys that go out and drink every week. Come on, man. We got to do better, man. I love y'all. Thank y'all for taking y'all time out y'all day. I see y'all probably, no, I won't see y'all Saturday night because I'll be doing my lecture speaking, and I probably won't see y'all Friday night. But I'll definitely see you guys Sunday and probably tomorrow 'cause I'm going to be busy. But once again, I love y'all. Thank y'all. And like I said, if y'all need anything, all you got to do is hit me up. But family and friends, we getting ready to get something special. And when our will and the creator wills match, we will have our first brick and mortar in my city of Flint, Michigan. It's going to be amazing. And we need all our brothers and sisters' help. And like I said, we're going to change the world, you know, small community and small community until we take this global. But I love y'all, man, and peace.